Hello everyone and welcome to the beginning of yet another long Battlefield adventure. Starting off on Battlefield 1, first off I want to go ahead and say the game is amazing. I've enjoyed every minute of it, story, multiplayer, everything. I managed to acquire some of my most memorable moments from the first 24 hours of playing. But there's so much to cover in just this one video, I've decided to cut it up into different sections. Going into class strength, map design, destruction, weather effects, behemoths, some big nerfs that I've noticed they added since the beta. Mostly just what I've noticed. I haven't really any notes. I know for a fact that these changes are what they are. While these are what I believe have changed, not necessarily everything I'm saying. Not just because I don't bring something up. Like, I know I'm not going to talk about the tank hunter that much because I didn't use them during the beta, so I'm not going to talk. It doesn't mean that it didn't change him at all. I think they actually lowered his health a little bit while I'm thinking about it. But the flamer, I noticed that he now has 3 incendiary grenades, and he can't self-heal anymore. He's more reliant on medics to stay alive and in the fight. These nerfs are big in the sense that you can't take on 4 guys, drop down to 16% health and self-heal like people were doing in the beta, including myself. And in the fight, these now don't get me wrong though, in the right hand class is still powerful when paired up with the right squad, communicates and does what they're supposed to help each other out. Other than that, he can still be taken down via bayonet charge or 3 or 4 hits from a melee weapon, depending on what his health is. Cavalry and his no prestige have been nerfed in the health department, only so slightly. And the Sentry doesn't seem to have changed much at all, other than the fact that he has no self-healing, and I'm not sure whether or not he actually had that frag in the beta, but if he didn't, then he does now. I'm a support main. I've been that way since Battlefield 3. I adore the feeling of mowing down countless numbers of enemies via LMG and giving ammo to my teammates to keep them in the fights. Even though sometimes I have to chase them down and force the ammo on them. I know, big surprise, right? You wish you had me in every game. In Battlefield 4, the little ammo bag and ammo box were a way of resupplying friendlies. However, the little ammo bag, allowing the ability to be tossed from a distance to a friendly without having to move from cover, but it only resupplied bullets. And I believe it did not allow the resupply of equipment or frags, which is why the ammo box outshined it. Plus, the ammo box resupplied faster, making it the obvious choice. On this game, from the start, you were given a little ammo bag with some big upgrades, allowing it to resupply equipment and all ammo in seconds. People will also have an indication of whether or not they need ammo by simply looking in their direction. The players that requested will have a flashing icon above their head, while the ammo crate does the exact same thing, except its one benefit is it says it stays in place, allowing anyone who needs it to come up and grab some when they need it, whereas the ammo bag only goes to one individual, and after a few tosses it must be charged for a few seconds. So here's the category I'm ready to talk about: the equipment. Start off with one of the best pieces of equipment, the mortar. Brought back to its original glory from Battlefield 3 and improved upon. The soldier must sit on the mortar, but has the choice of either selecting the airburst mortar or the HE mortar. I'll make this quick. The airburst is great in situations where the enemy is clustered together. The airburst explodes above the ground, doing area of effect damage to whatever's beneath it. It usually takes 2 to 3 shots to kill someone unless they are below 80 health. You use the map to send your shell to a specified location, and you follow it in a third-person camera, which is extremely useful for scouting out a position before you even attack it, or finding out where the enemy is held up so you may send in the rest of your shells in that direction. Kind of like sending in this first shell to scout out the area and find out where they're held up, and then once you find that out, you start aiming for that spot and spamming your mortar shells to get kills. The HE mortar is better for attacking vehicles, doing around 18 damage, 16 damage a hit, plus still being able to effectively take out infantry. I normally take air burst, but it's really up to you. The limpet charge, which I call the lump charge, is next edition, which is an explosive charge on a timer that does a large amount of damage, taking out land ships in just 3 charges, light tanks in 2, heavy tanks same as land ships, taking them out in 3. Finally, they took away the tripwire from the support and gave it to recon, and gave the support the repair tool, which I think is quite an interesting move, given the support's equipment section so much utility that at times I found myself confused on what to take. Should I go with air burst, repair tool, limpet charge? No matter what you choose though, the equipment in the class is on a timer, meaning you don't have to resupply yourself to get another one. It'll automatically be restored to your inventory after a certain amount of time. But if you don't really feel like waiting on it, you could drop a few ammo packs and resupply quicker with it. Although I don't believe this really works for the mortar. I've tried it and it seems as though you just have to wait the full amount of time. I actually kind of like this, so you're not just constantly spamming mortars every few seconds. You actually have to wait a certain amount of time before you can get them back. But next I want to talk about the weapons. The weapons overall are fairly decent, but do take some getting used to. Whichever one you take a liking to is your choice, but I've come to love the M15 variations, which is the bar. It's a bar telescopic, and the very last one you unlock, the Hewitt, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, automatic, low weight. The strength of the class definitely has been taken down a notch from past predecessors. You know, Hardline, you had these powerful battle rifles. In Battlefield 4, you had these super strong LMGs that could take out so many people with just one clip. But on here, in terms of kill potential, once you begin to understand the combat and start utilizing your bipod successfully, you know, whenever you get a chance, try and pop up against a rock or just go prone to take out enemies at a distance. You won't actually be taking out tons of enemies with your LMGs, but you'll be able to catch a few guys off guard. Other than that, after some time spent towards the class, I'd say that it's definitely still viable. Support will always be viable, but it's not as strong as it used to be. It's not as dominating a force in terms of weapon strength. Assault's come a very long way, especially with it not meaning medic anymore. It refers to the engineer now, except he doesn't have his repair tool anymore, the support does. So he's not an engineer, he's an assault. Yeah, glad I cleared that up. Anyway, the assault's weapons don't stray too far from close quarter, with it only having SMGs and shotguns. Seriously, this class has 3 different SMGs and the rest are all shotguns. But I might say they are some of the best darn SMGs at that, while the shotguns feel a bit strange, as if sometimes your pellets disappear when you're shooting at a guy point blank, and other times you just mow down a squad of infantry. For me, I personally like to use gas grenades, put on a mask, and charge a group of enemies using the gas as cloak, then strike them down while they're smoking on that gas, which can make for some pretty intense gameplay. Equipment for this class is limited but straightforward. Anti-tank grenades, an AT rocket gun that pretty much is a rifle that shoots anti-tank shells at vehicles, but you must be prone to use it. Dynamite and anti-tank mines, anti-tank nades definitely saw a nerf in their throwable range, along with the regular anti-tank grenades that you could switch out your frags or gas grenades for. Their throwable range was nerfed since the beta drastically. I, for one, like this for the simple reason that the nade, for as much damage as it dealt to vehicles, could be thrown as far as a regular frag. A good 4 of these could take out a heavy tank. Like 1 to 2 of them could disable it or take out the guns on it. And I'm just really glad that they decided to nerf the throwable range of it to help out whenever you run into those situations where you're being attacked by 4 freaking assaults. Anti-tank mines, though. I believe since there is no thermal sights or FLIR in this game, that it grants a huge indirect buff to anti-tank mines, that resemble a carry bag and are flat, well placed in a crater or around a corner. Most vehicles don't even notice it. The only reason that these mines were extremely weak, in my opinion, on Battlefield 4 was that everybody ran thermal or FLIR on their vehicles. So these huge, bright white little boxes were showing up on the ground all the time, and it just made them really easy to see. I always had my thermal on to try and avoid mines, and quite honestly, there was no reason to just not always go around with thermal on in your tank. Daylight, nighttime, didn't matter. But yeah, since that's not around anymore, I suggest placing them on the main roads that you know a majority of their armor will be coming through. That way you can get a nice little surprise vehicle disable, vehicle destroy, enemy kill pop up on your screen while you're off smacking that support in the back for some ammo. It'll make you feel better. Wrapping up this class, I just want to say it's really strong when used properly. Staying away from long alleys or wide open fields where medics with their marksman rifles, supports prone on their bipods, or pretty much anyone who isn't an assault can just mow you down with ease and you'll be fine. Try and always keep yourself in close quarter situations, and this class, you'll excel in this class. I do it all the time and I have so much fun with it. The weapons in this class are just a blast. I definitely recommend trying it out. Since I've already mentioned it when talking about the other two classes, I'll just go ahead and jump right into Medic. Most of the rifles are either semi-auto or self-loading. The class excels in medium range but can get away with close quarter battle due to most of the rifles being trigger finger with high damage. I haven't really played much Medic yet, but from what little I've played, I can say this, especially to those of you that played it. Why won't you revive me? There's a giant skull on the screen above my body. You don't even have to hold the revive button anymore, and I'll take it to love tap. I will, because it's gonna put me at 100%. Equipment for this class is a little mid bag, box rifle grenade HE, which is pretty much like a regular grenade launcher. A rifle grenade smoke, which is just, you know, shoots out a smoke grenade. Rifle grenade frag, which if you remember from Battlefield 4 is the LBG, a launcher that shoots a grenade on a timer. The only thing I want to say about this class equipment is you should choose the little mid bag, which is called bandage pouch in the game, over the med box, and here's why. Med box heals seemingly slower than the bandage pouch, plus you have to stay on top of the med box, whereas bandage pouch can be tossed at you, then you go on your way healing until you take damage, then the healing stops. But mostly it seems as though it just heals faster and you can take it and keep going. You don't have to stay in that one spot on top of the crate, which in my opinion makes it far more useful and convenient in so many situations as opposed to the box. Here we are at the last class, Scout. This class is interesting, to say the least. With the snipers varying from bolt action to semi-auto, I'll just say the starting sniper is definitely one of the best and really doesn't differ too much from the other ones, just like past Battlefields. You can use to get the hang of sniping on the game before bouncing to any of the other rifles. And as said before, this class has acquired tripwire bombs, tripwire gas, tripwire incendiary, and they got a ballistic shield, which is just a small shield they can deploy on the ground and hide behind. There's a tiny little slit in it for them to snipe through safely, although they can be shot through that little slit. They have a trench scope, which is basically binoculars that allow you to see over cover safely, like a submarine scope. Just imagine you're behind some sandbags and you're prone. You can pull out these binoculars and they'll see over the sandbags for you. And they have the K bullets, which are armor-piercing bullets that you can shoot from your sniper, but you have to be super close to the vehicle for it to do the max damage, which I think is like 10. And it's terrible. Unless the vehicle is about to explode and will definitely get you a kill. Every time I just laugh at the snipers who shoot me with this from 10 feet away, and I just blast them while I'm in my heavy tank to pieces, and yeah. The sniper decoy, which when placed will emit a scope glint and be spotted to the enemy team as a sniper. And once shot at by the enemy, it will reveal their location. It's pretty neat and fun to try out and use occasionally. You'll find people tricked by it if you place it correctly behind a rock or something where only the head is poking out and they can only see the scope glint. Finally, one of the best pieces, the flare gun, which has a flash variation and a spotting variation. The flare gun flash allows you to pull out the flare gun, shoot it wherever you want, and enemies that get too close to the flare will be blinded like a burning bright light. I kid you not, it may be in game, but you get too close to this thing and you will feel it burning your retinas. The flare gun spot, which is my favorite, gives away enemy positions near where the flare has been shot. And what I like to do with this is shoot it straight in the air over a position with a lot of enemies and let it spot them on the map. You can get spot assist off of this. It's really good. And well, that's all I have for today's video, guys. I hope you'll join me in the second part of this, where I continue to talk about the behemoths and map design.